So today we have Katie Zelinski, who graduated from New York University with a master's in occupational therapy. She currently lives in Cleveland, Ohio. We've known Katie for a while now. She's been using the Z-Vibe and definitely has a lot of helpful tips. So we're super excited to have her here. But yeah, we're gonna throw it over to Katie and then she's just gonna dive in with her presentation.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm Katie. I am a pediatric OT, which for those of you that don't know what OT is, at its core, it's really about working on meaningful activities and helping people be more independent in the things that are meaningful to them. I personally work in pediatrics, and so we are working on feeding and oral motor skills. We're working on dressing. We're working on sensory processing and regulation to help kids engage with the world around with them and communicate with friends. We work on lots and lots of fun things as I'm holding the Z-Vibe. I've been an OT for 8 years. I started in early intervention and then transitioned into pediatric clinics and more recently opened up my own business, The Well-Balanced OT. I'm currently providing mentorship to other OTs to help them feel more confident and knowledgeable in their practice. And then I'll be opening up the door soon to treat clients, which is super exciting. So the reason why we're all here is for this super fun guy, the Z-Vibe. So I wanted to, if anybody has never seen one and doesn't know what they look like, this is it. It basically is a vibrating stick or wand with different attachments that you can screw in. This is the one that it comes with. This is called the probe tip. I'm screwing it so you can see how it works. There are actually 35 plus attachments that you can get for the Z-Vibe, which makes it super, super versatile. So you can use this for oral motor skills, making sure that the tongue, the lips, and the cheek are all working efficiently and helping us eat. You can use it for body awareness, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can help with regulation. There are tips for handwriting. So all of you OTs out there will love that. And then you can also use this to help promote speech skills. One of the reasons why I love it is because it is so sleek, small, and compact. So there's a lot of punch in a small little tiny thing. For me, at least, I know that when I'm working in a school and then running to somebody's home or running to a clinic, I need things that are small and compact and that can easily fit in my purse or my bag. And this is exactly that. Prior to the Z-Vibe, I was using these animal massagers. I don't know if anyone has seen them to provide vibration, but they're super big, they're clunky. You put them in your bag, the bag comes off, the battery comes out. It's just not convenient. But they also only provide massage and vibration. You can work on so much more with the Z-Vibe. It does come in a variety of different colors, the base, and it also comes in an aluminum version. When you are deciding which one you want to get, whether you want the plastic colors or whether you want aluminum, I want you to think about who you're purchasing it for and what your client or your child looks like. So if you have someone that is a little bit more under responsive to sensory information, so they need more input to register it, you might want to consider getting the aluminum one because it's a little bit heavier. So it's going to provide more input and the child is going to alert and register it a little bit more. We'll talk about all of that as well. When you are getting this as well, I definitely recommend getting an extra battery. I use this in almost every one of my sessions, and luckily I have not run out of batteries yet, but I know that if it ran out in the middle of a session as we were working, I would be so sad. So it's always really smart when you're picking this up or picking up any tips to add some batteries to your cart. So I mentioned vibration, which is one of the main components of the Z-Vibe. And I love that it can provide really targeted vibration or very general vibration. So targeted, so if you're thinking about oral motor skills and I want to work on the tongue, this tip can provide vibration directly to the tongue. But if I wanted more general input to the body, I can use the stick and run it along an arm or on a leg to get more whole body input in. Let's talk about the power of vibration. Why is this such a special thing? So vibration is a really powerful sensation because it has such a varied effect on the body. One of the reasons why we use it is for muscle activation. So vibration targets the proprioceptive system, and you're going to hear this word a lot, but the proprioceptors are found in our deep muscles and our joints. When it's activated, when the system's activated, our muscles turn on and are more effective. So many of our kids with low tone, me included, I'm low tone, and you'll notice that we have trouble activating our muscles frequently. So when I sit, I sometimes am hunched over, my arms kind of hang sometimes. Our muscles just aren't turned on all the time. But when we provide vibration, our muscles are alerted because we're turning on that proprioceptive system, we're engaging the muscles around it, and it's helping us be more efficient in our movement patterns and motor skill. Another reason vibration is so powerful is because it can improve body awareness. So our proprioceptive system helps us understand where our body is in space. In a typically developing system, the brain and the body are working really well together and communicating strongly. So for example, if I were to tap your shoulder, you'd probably look immediately and be like, oh, hey, what's up? For some of our kids who, their body and their brain aren't necessarily communicating super efficiently, they're going to have trouble processing that input. They might not even feel that you tap them on their shoulder. They might feel something, but can't figure out exactly where on the body that they're feeling it. So these people need more input, and vibration provides greater intensity of input, which helps the brain alert to it faster. So then when we provide that vibration, that signal is going to the brain, and then the brain is able to turn and look and be like, oh, okay, now I get it. When you apply it to the hand, you might notice that the client or child is watching, or adult, is watching the hand a little bit more. And when you provide it to the body, you're going to notice that there might be more precision in movement. Vibration can also be super calming. Because proprioceptors live in our deep muscles and our joints, they're activated by pushing and by pulling of the muscle. The system is one of the most calming systems in our body. And if you've ever heard of heavy work provides that push and that pull. We're doing it because it's calming to the body. Well, vibration can provide that same input without requiring the movement. So you can get a lot of calming input just by using the Z-Vibe and providing vibration without having to swing on a swing or hang from monkey bars or do a wheelbarrow walk. Next, vibration can also be really alerting. So I want to talk about arousal really quickly. We all go through different stages of arousal throughout our day. So we wake up in the morning and we're tired. We haven't had our coffee yet. We don't want to engage in conversation. It's probably not the best time for us to write a paper or have a big business meeting. You've had your coffee, maybe you've worked out. You're moving from that low arousal state to that just right state. Your body's feeling like it can engage with the world. You can have a conversation, you can learn, you can listen, you can retain information. There are times where our body goes into a high arousal state. This is when we might be feeling scared or frustrated, in fight or flight, we're ready to run. Our body naturally moves through these throughout the day. When we have someone who's in that low arousal state, who maybe is tired and sluggish and slow, and their body can't bring itself up higher to that just right state, vibration provides an excitatory input to wake up their sensory system, to kind of give them that little nudge and help them get to that just right state. So let's talk about the different tips now that we know why vibration is so important. The first tip we're going to talk about is the Preefer tip. So these are my favorites. This one is round. I'll hold it up closer so you can see, with some vertical edges on it. It's a bit more gentle, and it's perfect for oral motor skills or body work. We'll talk about body work in a little bit. We're going to focus on oral motor skills first. So an exercise that I want to show you today is for lip activation and closure. So this is really important because when we are eating, We need our lips to come together to take food from a spoon. If our lips aren't closing, we're not efficiently getting all the food from the spoon. So you're going to take the Preefer tip and you're going to hold it to the upper lip. So you're going to turn it on. I'm going to keep this off for the presentation just so you guys can hear me and not hear the vibration. But you're going to roll it towards your body and down towards the top of your lip. So you're rolling from bottom of nose to the lip, in and down. You're going to do this about 5 to 7 times, and then you're going to go to the bottom lip. You're going to roll away from your body this time as you're moving up towards the lip. And so ideally, you're not talking while you're doing this so that your lips can actually close. But ideally, you are activating those muscles and helping those lips come together. It's a perfect one to do before feeding to help prepare the lips for that food. Another one that I absolutely love is the Popette tip. So you can see I have a lollipop on here. So you show kids this lollipop and they're like, yes, please, let's do that. You can also put a few other things on here, but the lollipop is typically my go-to. So this tip is ideal for working on oral motor skills. Tongue lateralization is one of them, and that is the ability to move your tongue from one side of the mouth to the other side. This is helping with feeding and manipulating food inside your mouth. If your tongue isn't moving, you're not moving food from side to side, so you're not chewing it efficiently, and it might lead to a little bit more like tongue thrust and actually efficient chewing patterns. So the exercise I'm going to show you today is for tongue lateralization. So kids sees the lollipop and they're automatically like, I want to lick it. And I'm like, okay. I hold it to their side of the lip and I say, okay, I want you to see if you can lick it. Now, some kids might try and move their head so they can put it to the center of their mouth, but you're going to encourage them to stay straight and just stick their tongue out and lick to the side. So you're going to have them lick to the right. You're going to move it to the left. Lick to the left. So you're going to go back and forth between right and left and working on that tongue's mobility to move from side to side. While you're there, I sometimes will be like, oh no, you have a little lollipop on your chin. Can you lick it? And so working on that tongue coming out and licking the lips as well. It's a great one to do. And then I usually will hand it over and let them lick it for a little bit. And then we'll work on it again. With all of these exercises, I will put this in now. If you notice that the child is maybe a little bit more resistant or nervous about doing it, we might turn the Z-Vibe off so there's no vibration, or you can come back to the exercise at another point in time. You want the child to feel safe and secure when you are doing these, and you want to pay attention to their cues. Okay, next up is the animal tips. So one more. There are 3 of them. They come individually or in a set. There is a cat. This one is ideal for oral motor. They all can be used for oral motor and general input, but one of the exercises that I love with this one is tongue lateralization. You are licking the tongue, or your tongue is licking the ears. So you're moving from side to side, again, getting that left-right movement pattern in. The mouse is great for feeding and working on spoon skills because they have those big ears. And all of these are great for just tactile exploration and oral motor exploration for some of your younger ones. This is usually what I will start out with when I'm just introducing a Z-Vibe, because kids think that they are so, so cute. So I'll usually introduce this, I'll put it on a tip, and I'll say, oh, isn't the doggy so cute? Don't you just want to give him a kiss? Mwah! And you'll see if they'll give it a kiss. You can each have your own one so you can model it and then they can do it as well. To add in some extra work with cheek activation. So if you have a child that is a little bit more low tone and their cheeks need a little bit more waking up, we might start with a kiss. But then I say, okay, now the doggy's going to give you a kiss. And the dog kisses them right at their TMJ. And it comes down and slides down their cheek, and then they can give it a kiss. So you're building in that cheek awareness. We are waking up those cheeks, and then you're also getting in some of that lip puckering and lip activation. They have a lot of fun with this one. Next up is spoon tips. So I'm going to show you a few of them. If you are working with a child who's working on feeding and is using a spoon, so the spoon tips come in a bunch of different sizes and textures. So we have a smaller one, which is good for your younger babies, and then a bigger one, which is going to be good for your toddlers. You might have noticed when I was rotating them, the back sides have different textures. So there's a smooth texture. This can be ideal for anyone, but if you have a child that is over responsive, they respond really quickly to sensory input, the smooth one is going to be better for them. If you have a child that is under responsive to sensory input, the textured one is going to be better for them because it's providing their mouth more input to help the brain register that there's food and that there's a spoon. There is also a flat tip. So this tip is ideal for those kids whose lips aren't quite closing yet. It's flatter, so you're going to use this with purees. And it's going to be much easier for that child to get the food and the purees off of that spoon. The reason why I love using these spoons with the Z-Vibe is because not only are you providing vibration to the mouth, you're also providing it to the hand at the same time. So if the mouth is low tone, most likely the rest of the body is too. And so when you're using this spoon, you're feeding yourself and getting that vibration, you're alerting the mouth and waking it up, but you're also waking up the hand. And so you might notice greater attention to the hand. You might notice a better grasp that they're using. It really is a nice way to target two different areas and connect the hand, the mouth, and the brain all together. Okay, continuing, we have for our biters and our chewers, the brick tip. So if you are familiar with any of the chewies from ARC, they have this brick tip in a chewy, but bonus, they've added it for the Z-Vibe. So if you have a child that is seeking out lots of input, they're biting everything, they're chewing everything, everything's going in their mouth. You've got a super nice biting material and you have added vibration. You're increasing the intensity of input to help that child register the information. And ideally, it's helping them decrease the amount that they're then seeking. So they're going to want it less. The nice thing about these, just like the chewies, is that they come in different strengths. So we have this red one, which is going to be a little bit more malleable. And then I think this blue one is a bit harder. So you can see this tip now that you're nice and up close, has bricks on one side, smooth on the other, and bumpy on the other side. So again, great for tactile exploration and also great for those kids that need more input. It's targeting tactile, it's targeting proprioceptive, everything. One last thing, sorry, I almost forgot. So for a lot of our kids who are seeking out that biting, the input that they're seeking is in that TMJ joint. Their jaw needs the input. And so the long shape to this is nice because you can really push it far back. You're gonna let them put it in their mouth, but you're gonna have it so that they can put it in where it's reaching that back jaw and hitting all their molars. So they really have a lot to chew on. They can come in this way as well, whatever their preference is, but when you have it long ways, you're stimulating a lot more. Continuing with biting and chewing, we have our bite tubes. So again, awesome that they come in different textures. We have smooth and we have this like round textured one. And these are excellent for kids who are working on chewing and biting. So developing a more mature biting pattern. It's a hollow tube. And so the reason I like these is because you can fill them with purees. So let's say you attach it to your Z-Vibe. First, I'd fill it with puree. You can freeze it a little bit if you want to give it a colder texture, alerts the mouth a little bit more. And you are going to apply it to the molars. So for those kids who are having trouble lateralizing that tongue, they're not bringing their tongue to the side, to the molars to manipulate food. If we place food there, their tongue is naturally going to come over. It's going to encourage them to move that tongue over to start to manipulate that food. With the puree inside, it's also going to be encouraging for them to bite down so they can get some of that puree out. So it's an awesome one to work on chewing with your kids. If you are just trying to work on jaw strength and stability, you can leave it empty and they can just chew on it that way as well. Okay, last up of my favorites, definitely not least favorite. I use this one all the time, but the handwriting tools. So this is available in a kit, or you can buy them individually. There's one for crayons, there's one for pens, and then there is one for pencils. Now, I use the handwriting kit or the pencil tip with my kids who maybe need more hand awareness. They might have a really loose grasp. They might push too hard in the paper, or maybe they don't look at their hand and their paper when they're doing anything in terms of handwriting. The vibration can help wake up those hand muscles, and it can also help turn them on so it's not pushing as hard. We talked a lot about the proprioceptive system earlier, and the proprioceptive system also helps us grade the amount of force that we're using. And so if our proprioceptors aren't turned on, well, we're not sure how much force we need. So we end up with a loose grasp or a really tight one. But once we've turned those on, you're going to be more efficient. I also love using this with our kids that just need more general input throughout the day. They are those kids who really benefit from heavy work, but maybe there's not the opportunity for them to get up and move from their desk as frequently as they would like to do. Well, we can use this Z-Vibe, the writing kit, with them. It's called the Tranquil Writing Kit, by the way. They can use this pen for writing purposes and get that vibration in every time they pick up their pencil. Also, if they don't just need to be using it as their writing tool, if they're sitting there and they're like, oh, my body really needs some help, they can turn it on and they can put it on their arms or rub it on their legs. It's really discreet and it's less noticeable. I do want to say this does not impact your legibility of handwriting at all. I was an 80s baby and I definitely loved the squiggle pen, but the squiggle pen did nothing for your handwriting. When you're using this, you cannot tell the difference in terms of how well you can read what is written from this compared to a regular pencil. So teachers won't have any issue with doing it. It's going to be super fun for the kid and super effective for their body. Okay, so I have some hacks, you can call them, that I've used over the years that I want to share with you guys. So I'm going to put this Preefer tip back on. I am just turning it here. And I didn't actually show you guys, but you turn it on right here. You can hear the vibration. So the exercise that I'm going to show you is it's a form of hand mapping. So it's helping children who benefit from greater hand awareness. Maybe they have low tone, maybe they're not visually attending to their hands or not using them as effectively as possible. So you're going to have your child or your client hold their hand out. You're going to turn your Z-Vibe on and you're going to start at the palm and you're going to stroke down the fingertips. You're starting with the pinky because developmentally, the pinky is what comes first in infant development. We first pick up with the pinky side of our hand, and then as we age, we become more efficient with our thumb and our index finger. So you're going to stroke down the pinky, then you're going to go to the index or the ring finger, middle. And as you go, you might notice a child, they start looking at their hand a little bit more and they're really interested in what you're doing. It's showing that the brain is connecting to that hand and that wiring, that connection is firing. This is a great one to do before maybe a handwriting task or a fine motor task, anything where they're going to need their hands to be super efficient. Another kind of hack I've come up with is when we're just introducing that Z-Vibe and the child isn't quite sure about it, we turn it into a magic wand. And so we talk about how the magic wand only works when the Z-Vibe is on. If the child doesn't want it to be on, that's fine. We don't do this one. But if they're like, show me more, we turn it on. And I go, abracadabra, I'm going to turn you into an elephant. And that child then acts like an elephant. Or abracadabra, I'm going to turn you into a mouse. And they can act like a mouse. And now it's their turn. So they hold the Z vibe and they're going to turn you into something. Again, it only works if they're on. So you don't have to turn into anything if it's off. But they then get the chance to hold it, get that input in, and you have a fun, positive experience with the Z vibe, but before you start working on the mouth. Another one that I like, and there's only two more, I'll show you. For our kids that we are working on pre-writing skills or learning how to just start to write our letters, I really like to use a multi-sensory approach to doing this. So that means that we're targeting more than one sensory system at a time. So instead of picking up a pencil and having the child write a K, I'm going to have them use wiki sticks or use blocks or use those like reusable ice cubes. We might also use a pegboard, and we're going to write out the letter, and then we're going to trace it using the Z vibe. I'm going to show you. So here's my pegboard, Katie, K. And you can see when we're doing this, we're still really focusing on formation, starting point, making sure we're sequencing the letter correctly. So for K, the big line comes first. So you can see I actually did it in blue. And then I, in orange, did the second half of the K. We're going to turn the Z vibe on, and I'm going to trace the letter. So we're getting vibration and tactile input to the hand. And I don't know if you can hear that, but you're also getting auditory input each time you touch the dot as you're tracing the letter. So you're targeting those multiple systems, which is going to help that child remember the sequence. It's going to transfer over to handwriting and helping them be more efficient and help them remember that pattern. Okay, my last tip is you always want to have more than one Z vibe in your purse. If you have used this before, you've probably had this happen where you go and you're like, all right, we're going to work on this exercise. And they're like, oh, I want to hold that. And so they take it from you, which is great. We want them to hold it. You pull out another one. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. And they're like, wait, no, I want that one. I have another hand. I'm going to hold two. So while they're holding the two, I have another one that I can use. And then we work on our exercises. It will make things go a little bit smoother and more efficiently, but super helpful to have multiples in your bag. All right, so we are ready for some Q&A.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Let me just get in here. Thank you, Katie. Definitely great information. It does look like we have a few questions.
Awesome.
And I know everyone, we can't answer every single one right now, but we will definitely get back to you. And we're definitely making notes of the questions coming in. I think some are curious to know how many times should you do an exercise or how long to use the Z vibe. So I think when you, for example, when you're stroking the cheeks, how long would you recommend?
So for that specific one, I have a different tip on now. I would typically do 3 strokes on each side. For most of the exercises that you do, you can do anywhere between like 5 to 10 reps. And with the hand, you're only going to do 1 rep on each side, and then you can do it multiple times a day if you want to. So it does vary a little bit, and you can also base how many reps you do off of what that child is saying or what that you're reading about that child, how much they can tolerate. So it maybe you're only doing 1 the first time, and that's all that they're willing to do, and then they'll build up that tolerance. Most of the time, kids have fun with it, but sometimes it just takes a little bit more time for them to warm up to it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And let's see here. I know that I think it might be helpful if if you could show just how you twist on each tip attachment, or not each tip attachment, just like how you remove it, put it on. And some are curious to know how the inside parts go in. So I know you mentioned getting extra batteries and things like that. So
I'll show you all. So here's what it looks like when it's put together. For the tips, you can unscrew it. You can see that there's some ridges right there. So it screws in nice and tight, and it doesn't, I never have a problem with it like coming loose while we're using it. From there, there's nothing really inside this part. When you're cleaning it, I guess I didn't talk about that piece too. So when you're using it, you can, if you're thinking about multiple kids, or if you're a clinician, I would usually put this in a like plastic glove so that they're more sanitary, but you can take all of these off and you can wash them in the dishwasher. You don't want to wash this piece. So this is the end cap that you screw on to turn it on. And when you unscrew it, that's how you get to the inside, to the battery. This piece never wants to be submerged. But you can take the pieces out and you can like sanitize the outside. So here are all the pieces that are inside. There's this piece. The battery fits right next to it. And then there is another coil. So they all slide right in. Oops, make sure we put it in the right way. And then this goes right back on. When you're turning it on, you only have to turn it on just like the slightest bit until you hear the vibration. You don't need to like crank it all the way. Hopefully that's helpful.
No, I'm glad that you went over the cleaning, because I think some were curious about sanitizing if they have multiple clients. Let's see. All right, it is 6:35. Let's see. Do you have any other recommendations for when parents are wondering how long they should do an exercise? Do you have any other suggestions for parents out there with that?
I don't really have like a time frame of like yes or no in terms of like, okay, 5 minutes, that's your max. Because for some of our kids, especially my clients who this is really regulating for them, after 5 minutes, I'm not going to be like, okay, you're done with that. Like if this is a tool that is calming their body and organizing their body, I'm going to let them hold on to it. They're naturally going to drop it when their body is done with it. And then we'll turn it off. So I don't have like, okay, use it for 2 minutes. It's really about reading that child and figuring out, okay, is this regulating them? Is this dysregulating them right now? Is it effective? Is it not effective? What else can we do that might be more effective? For feeding prep, we're going to do it for just a few minutes before we're doing feeding. I might spend anywhere from like 1 minute to 5 minutes doing like oral motor prep before a feeding activity. But really, ultimately, it's about reading that child and seeing what those cues are.
Definitely. All right. Well, Katie, did you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, thanks just for everyone coming. It was fun. It was my first webinar too. So
yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. And we really appreciate it again. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. And everyone is saying thank you to Katie because you did wonderful. But yes, we are here. You can email us on our website, use the contact us page. And we will see you guys next time.
Have a great night, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.